continue. So we continue. Last time we started a new section, and it's a very powerful section, very applicable to what happened just an hour ago. So in Siman 69, laws of the Minchah prayer. It's very, as we explained last time, it's the most powerful prayer because many people were answered exactly at Minchah. Exactly at Minchah, right, in the Torah. Okay, one of them, of course, the famous is Eliyahu HaNavi. So halacha number 2, safe number 2, so it's 69, safe 2. The Minchah prayer corresponds to the afternoon tamid, the daily afternoon offering in the temple. Generally speaking, the time of Minchah prayer can be recited corresponds to that time of the tamid offering could have been brought in the temple from 6.5 hours after the sunrise. After sunrise until evening. However, it is preferable to recite Minchah prayers certain specific times in the afternoon, as Kitzur explained in the CF. Okay, so let's read without commentary, and then we're going to come back and explain. Yeah, it's very long. So the principal time for reciting Minchah begins for 9 and 1/2 hours after sunrise. 9.5 hours after and onward. This is called Minchah Kitana, lesser Minchah. However, in times of the pressing needs, for example, if one needs to set out on a journey, or he needs to eat, he may recite the Minchah prayer immediately after 6.5 hours have passed from the daybreak. This time is called Minchah Gidola, greater Minchah. Ideally, the proper time for Minchah extends until 1.25 hours before nightfall. Okay, and not later. This is called Plaga Minchah. Okay. So as you see, it's very, very specific. Because from onset of the Minchah Ketana until the nightfall is 2.5 hours. And half of that time is 1.25 hours. Okay. However, so it's like exactly in the middle. We're going to explain. However, after the fact, there is if it is already past that time, or in a time of pressing need, one may recite Minchah prayer until appearance of the 3 stars. The current custom of the most congregations. So yeah, we're going to see. The current custom of the most congregation follows this, as they recite Minchah prayer close to nightfall. Okay, we're going to explain. That's very important things to know. The hours mentioned here are seasonal hours. Their length is determined by the length of the day. This is calculated as follows: from the sunrise until sunset, the day is divided in 12 equal segments. Thus, if the day lasts for 18 standard hours, each seasonal hour would be 1.5 standard hours. Okay, so I guess it's in the summer. All right, so let's do from the beginning, and of course there are many things to add. So again, the Minchah prayer, the Minchah prayer corresponds to afternoon tamid, daily sacrifice in the temple. So there were 2 daily sacrifices we read in the morning before the prayers about these things, right? 1 sheep like in the morning, 1 sheep in the afternoon. Okay, so 2 corresponding prayers, right? And as we know, Abraham established the Shacharis prayer, and Yitzchak established the Minchah prayer, like afternoon prayer. Generally speaking, the time of the Minchah prayer can be recited correspond to the time of Tamid offering could have been brought in the temple, right? So meaning, as we said, same is the Shacharis prayer, right? So the earliest, right, the earliest time to bring the sacrifice in the morning, right? Same is same as a Mincha prayer, right? Which is what? 6.5 hours after sunrise, right? So, and or half an hour after halachic midday. So right now I checked our halachic midday because we needed to know after what time you were allowed to sit on a chair. So today was in the morning was the Tisha B'Av, right? So after like before the noon, not allowed to sit in the chair, but after that no problem. So I think it was by us almost 1 p.m. I think like few minutes before 1, right? Very simple. Right, but as we said at the end, like it's a seasonal hours. They change from season to season. Okay, so again, Mincha ideal time. For the first, the earliest allowed time to pray Mincha 6.5 hours after the start of the day, or 30 minutes after, half an hour after the midday. So I mean, if you check the myzmanim.com, so I always recommend this, and very reliable. So they tell you exactly when the earliest mincha is. That's what they call it, the earliest mincha. I think that's what they call it. Okay, and so that's first available time, and it runs up until the evening. So evening meaning almost until until you can see the stars, 3 stars. So it's very late. Not everybody abide by that. So of course we don't push it this way. But there are a few times in my life that I had no choice, and I had to, like, if I wanted to pray with a minyan, I had to pray at that time. Right, there is a one shul. I mean, there are several shuls in my city. They call it minyan factory. It was a minyan factory, like a mincha every 15 minutes, I think. Right, every 15 minutes, from the time it's allowed until the last minute. And I was praying in a mincha. I thought it's the last, no, but they said no, it's the one before the last. So, and already people came, so people come and go, like a factory. So, and I was still finishing prayer, and so people came and started asking, is it Mariv or is it still Mincha? So somebody said it's still Mincha. Oh, okay, no problem. But they already came for Mariv because it was allowed to pray Mariv. So next Mincha is going to be downstairs, like they have different hall. Unbelievable, right? So, I mean, we usually, like, it was very dark, very dark. But since this congregation, I mean, these people go by this by this opinion, so you can join them, no problem. Okay. But it's not the best time, as we said, to pray the mincha. However, it is preferable to recite mincha prayer at certain specific times in the afternoon, as Kitzur explained in this sif. Okay. The principal time for reciting mincha begins at 9 and a half hours after sunrise and onward, right? So meaning what is 9.5? So after midday, you have 3.5 hours. Okay, and that's mincha kitana commentary. Okay, or so the commentary says, or 3.5 hours after chatzos chayom. Chatzos Chayom is halachic midday. Right? Although the afternoon tamid offering in the temple could be brought earlier than this, it is in actual practice, the offering of the tamid was generally deferred until 9.5 hours onto the day, to allow the public more time to bring their voluntary offering, which is not permitted to be offered after that afternoon tamid. Right, so here we see, like, it's not like something mysterious, like it's very practical, very practical in the temple. So like this second, we call it afternoon, but with that the sacrifices stopped. Right, of course they can burn whatever is left over on the altar after that, the whole night, but it's a different story. And that's actually Marif correspond to that burning, right? So here they say 1.5 hours. Of course, it's take time. So like on the altar, stuff like that. So they try to get the maximum time possible to give to public, so the public can bring their offerings. So it's very, very thoughtful. For this reason, it is ideal not to recite Mincha prayers until that time. See Mishnah Brura 2:33:1. So, and that's what we do in the place where I pray. Right, we pray close to the sunset. So, I mean, still in this time. Okay. So it's I mean, it's light outside, but close to sunset. Okay. So continue. So again, the principal time is 9.5 hours. So starts from 9.5 hours and onward. This is period called Mincha Kitana. Right. So Mincha Kitana, lesser Mincha, meaning shorter Mincha. Right. Bigger Mincha is from what is it? Half an hour after the midday. Okay. Continue. However, at times of pressing need, for example, one needs to set out on a journey, or he needs to eat, he may recite Mincha prayer immediately after 6.5 hours passed from the daybreak. Right? So there is no problem with praying 6.5 hours, and especially in the winter. So where we work, there are some doctors, religious doctors, so they were not able to get home. In the summer, yes, they would get home, they finish the practice, go home, right, and pray with them. But in the winter, they would not be, right? There is no way. I mean, the office is open till 5, 6, whatever, right? So there is no way for them to get home. So they would join us for Mincha in the winter, right? Because it's earlier. Well, whatever was it, 4 p.m., 5 p.m., so much earlier. They would not get home for sure at that time, right? So or a person, for example, I have 2 yeshivas next to me, 3 yeshivas. So they pray very early. I mean, because of the kids. Nobody in normal mind think that a kid is going to go home 4 p.m. after the classes. And after Bar Mitzvah, of course, and they going to go, let's find the minyan. Okay, so let's not kid ourselves. I mean, maybe they will, but not everybody. So put everybody in a situation that since we are all together, we are here, so let's pray on time. So that's when they pray. They pray around the lunchtime, which is 1 p.m. Okay, so actually people from outside can go to Yeshiva and join them. All of the Rabbi pray there. Okay. Commentaries say this was the earliest time that the afternoon Tamid offering could have been offered in a temple. So, meaning in the case of need, and that's one of the cases. What is the case of need? Pesach offering, right? So Pesach offering we start from 6.5 hours, the earliest possible. Likewise, if it is not possible for one to pray with a minyan, if he waits until later, he was recite Mincha at that time, right? So I mean, as I said, all the stories in the place where I used to work, right? That's everybody prayed in the summer. I mean, because they changed the time. In the winter, we played 12:40, right? That's standard time across all of the minyanim, and in the summertime 1:40, right? Everybody because if you're working the full time, how do you know that you will be able to go home in time? Who told you so? Right? Because they say that you work till 5:30, something comes up and you have to stay another hour, 2 hours, 7, I don't know, a few hours. Guess what? You're going to miss Mincha in your shul. So that's all of the smart people. They would not rely that I'm going to go home on time. All of the buses, so there's be on time. There is no traffic. Okay, right. So we try to pray the first opportunity. Okay. The time period is called Mincha Gidola, Great Mincha. Right, meaning half an hour after the midday. Commentary. There is the time is called the Greater Mincha because the greater portion of the day remains. The lesser mincha begins later in the day, and the only small portion of the day remains. Okay, I mean that's very straightforward, right? And it's not too much time. I mean, if you're very, very organized, if you have some kind of schedule you're going to have minimum 9.5 hours, and some people, some yeshivas, I think they if they have learning like after work learning, yes, of course you can do this 9.5 hours. What's the problem? You have like a minyan, yeah, that's the best. Okay. Ideally, the proper time for mincha extends until 1.25 hours before the nightfall, right? So it's not so much, right? It's very, very, very specific time. So they start what was it? 9.5 hours. So when we say that the 9.5 hours, right, from the sunset, so the whole day is 12 hours. It's not 12 hours like we understand 60 minutes hours, but divided, as we said, in 12 parts. So it's not, as we understand, it's not so much. It's not so much time. So again, the whole sentence, ideally the proper time for mincha extends until 1.25 hours before nightfall, not later. So this is called plaga mincha, and that's a plaga mincha. I just want to remind you, when we were talking about Shabbos, we were talking about Yom Tov. So we said that's the earliest time to light the candles. If you want to accept Shabbos early, Yom Tov early, there is no problem. Like not Shavuos, Shavuos is not right, but other like Pesach. If you want to accept Pesach early or other holidays, so Shabbos early, so you can do after the plaga mincha, which is 1.5 hours before the sunset. 1.25, so it's very early. Okay. Right, so this plaga mincha means half mincha, right? So like half from this 9.5 hours from mincha kitana until the sunset, right? So half a mincha. Okay. Commentary. There is no indication in Shulchan Aruch or Mishnah Berurah that one should recite mincha before the plaga mincha. Okay. However, one who recites mariv between plaga mincha and nightfall should not recite mincha after plaga mincha. See Shulchan Aruch. For further discussion. Okay, so let's read it again and try to explain. There is no indication in Shulchan Aruch or Mishnah Berurah that one should recite the mincha before the plaga mincha. Okay, so Kitzur said that. I mean, it's. I was also a little surprised, but okay, I'm not sure. I'm sure that he has authorities to rely upon. Okay, because it's very strict. It's only 1 hour, 2 hours left. I mean, window. Of course, he says it's ideal. He does not say if you have prayed before or after you. That's it. You did not fulfill the commandment. He said it's ideal time. Okay. However, one who recites mariv between plaga mincha and nightfall. Between plaga mincha, that's when we pray. One should not recite mincha after plaga mincha. One should not recite mincha after plaga mincha. I'm not sure what does he want to say. So usually, like this day is calculated. How day is calculated? Day is calculated from a sunrise until sunset, right? So if in a places where people pray mincha and mariv together, so if you pray both of them before the sunset, that's a little ridiculous. So how is it? How can it be that if it's before the sunset and you still say it's day, and now 5 minutes later you say it's night? Does not make sense. So that's why people, like in my shul, we're trying to be careful. Always, not trying, we always, the Ashkenazim, with time, that's amazing. That's so there is like atomic clock. So they watch, and sometimes like it's 15 seconds. Like I think yesterday, Yes, no, I was Sunday, or I don't know, like Sunday. I think it was 15 seconds later, so they did not allow Chazan. No, I mean, he asked, can I pray? 7 people said, no, you have to wait. It's whatever time. So people knew, right? So he waits 15 seconds and he starts. So whatever, sometimes you have to wait 1 minute, 2 minutes, whatever is it. So in order to start after the nightfall, apologies, after the sunset. Okay, so now you showed that those are 2 distinct time periods, right? Before the sunset and after sunset. Okay, so this again, we're going to this Plaga Mincha. Again, as we just said, Mishnah Brura and Shulchan Aruch say, do not say anything, okay? This Plaga Mincha, because from onset of the Mincha Kitana, right, the Mincha Kitana, this 9.5 hours, until nightfall, is 2.5 hours, right? So the whole time, like 2.5 hours, and then he said this 2.5 hours to try to do the first 1 hour and 15 minutes. Is it possible? Yeah, of course it's possible. Everything is possible if you calculate, if you have all these people available. Yes. Okay. However, after that, after the fact, if you already at the past time, meaning after this Plaga Mincha, or at in a time of the present need, one may recite Plaga Mincha until appearance of the stars. So now we're going all the way. Forget about this. What is it? Sunset appearance of the stars much later. Commentary, it says HaKachavim. This refers to 3 medium stars, not the big stars. 3 medium stars. Okay. So and that's when Shabbos ends, according to some opinion, to some custom. That's what people. I think it's 40. Where we live, it's 45 minutes or 50 minutes. I don't remember. 50 around 50 minutes after the sunset. Okay, so meaning after the sunset, you have all this time. So of course, in situation as a pressing need, so you can pray mincha. But if you look at the siddur, at least in my siddur, it says, so if you see there is no minyan until the sunset, right, and it's like close to sunset, so it says do not. So you're waiting for a minyan, start praying by yourself, right? So it's better to pray before the sunset by yourself than after sunset with a minyan. So that is a strong opinion, and we try to abide and never pray after the sunset, unless, I mean, of course, if there is opinion of Chachamim, of course you can rely. But it's proper to start even before by yourself than after with a minyan. That's how strong this thing is. The canon custom of congregation follow this, okay, and they decide mincha prayer close to nightfall, right? So okay, there is a commentary, and there is I think when people came from Europe, Europe, and it was the mincha to pray mincha so late. So some people who are already lived in the US for a long time, religious people, they start frowning like what do you mean? Like for us, it's Shabbos. You still driving? You still this? Is that? Well, what do you want to say that you're Hasid? What kind of Hasid? You're Michal Shabbos. So and then Moshe finds it. So he actually got these people, the leaders together, and he said, "Look, you have to stop that. Does not look right. So it's maris ayin. Like people think that you're sinning. So even the custom in Europe was like that, but a custom of this land is not like that. You understand? So people judge you like not favorably because for them it's Shabbos. Maybe they already accepted Shabbos. They already coming from with the kids or family from the shul, and the man is still driving like in his car with the shopping. Of course, he's in a hurry. He has only 15 minutes according to him or 15, 20, 25 minutes. But for us, it's a long Shabbos, right? So it says Mishnah Brura 233:14 cites many authorities who rule that once the sun disappears below horizon, right? Mincha may no longer be recited right? Many authorities. So one is dark, like what Minchah? Mishnah Berurah rules that in cases of pressing need, one may recite Minchah up to 15 minutes before the nightfall. It says HaKachavim, right? So Mishnah Berurah says, right, very, again, it's very lenient, but again, only in case of the need. However, one should rather pray before the sundown, alone, here we go, than after the sundown with congregation, exactly as we said. So that's commentary now, see that from here, from Mishnah Berurah. So again, Mishnah Berurah says it's better for you to pray before the sundown alone than after the sundown with congregation. Why? Because many poskim are against it. So of course, if they're against it, then so you pray by yourself. And it happened with me. So I started praying by myself, but then people came and we had a meeting. So I mean that's fine. Work out very fine for me. I mean, anyway, they prayed a little faster, a little slower. So I figure that worked out very nice. Continue. The hours mentioned are seasonal hours. There is the length determined the length of the day, right? So as we said before, quickly. So this seasonal hours from the sunset, from the sunrise to sunset, right? Divide by 12 parts, as he said, is equal parts. So 18 hours a day. I guess in the summer it's going to be 1.5 hours. Right, like 90 minutes, sometimes 72 minutes, sometimes in winter it could be like 46 minutes, 43 minutes. I think I have seen 43 minutes, maybe, I don't know. but in our application, this Mice Money, we have proportional hour, like how many minutes and this proportional hour. I'm not sure why would people use it, how they use it, but maybe I'm not sure, but for basic information. But there is, of course, a second opinion, how the day is calculated, and that's why you have, for example, you have this latest Shema, and you have 2 times, right? 2 times. You have Magen Avraham, and you have Gra, right? And I think Balatanya also goes by Gra, right? I mean, the same. Okay, so again, so let's see. Oh no, okay, no, sorry. This is the opinion of the Gra. And calculated the beginning and the end of the day. However, above, Kitzur follows the opinion of Magen Avraham, in which the day begins at daybreak and ends at nightfall. Right. So Gra goes by from sunrise to sunset, and Magen Avraham goes by from the daybreak until nightfall. So meaning Magen Avraham, so what does it mean? The last Shema, according to Magen Avraham, is going to be earlier than according to Gra, because according to Magen Avraham, the day is longer, right? From daybreak, what is it? Daybreak, from daybreak, maybe an hour. From daybreak until the sunrise, maybe an hour, maybe less than an hour, plus minus, right? So it's much longer, and plus from a sunset until all of these stars, also like not hour, but close to it. Okay, so that's why it's different times. So sometimes, right, you have this Gra, and it's half an hour later, the latest Shema. Okay. So let me see if you have any questions, because it's very practical halacha. I mean, all of them practical, but it's like practical. I mean, on everyday practical. Okay, no questions. Okay. So let's do one more then. Okay, it's only this. Okay, so let's see. Halacha number 3. Once the time for the Minchah has arrived, it is prohibited from before reciting the prayer to begin any activity that may extend until the time of the Minchah prayer passes. It is forbidden for one to begin eating even a small meal from close to the time of the Minchah, Kitana, until he has recited Minchah's prayer. The term "close to" double quotes means half an hour before. Okay, we're going to explain all this. If he does not eat a proper meal, but rather eats and drinks in informal manner as a snack, fruit or a cooked dish, even if it contains one of the fine grains, some authorities permit this to be eaten during the time. However, one should be stringent in this regard as well. Likewise, it is forbidden to enter bathhouse or bathe or to take a haircut close to the time of Mincha Kitana. With regard to the large meal, double quotes right there, such as wedding or circumcision feast or similar occasion, it is forbidden to begin it when close to the Mincha Gedola, right? Mincha Gedola. It is forbidden from the midday. Rather they should wait until the time Mincha Gedola, and then pray before the meal. In a place where they call the congregation to synagogue for prayers, and one is accustomed to go to the synagogue to pray with the congregation, that person may begin a small meal close to time the Mincha Kitana, and even after this time has arrived, provided that immediately upon being called to the synagogue, he interrupts his activities and go pray. However, it is forbidden to begin large meal close to the time of Mincha Kitana, even in a place where they call a congregation synagogue to pray. Additionally, one should be stringent and avoid beginning a large meal even close to the time of Mincha Gedola. Okay, so let's BeEzrat HaShem, let's do it again, and we're going to explain. I mean, today, the people many times do not understand how lucky we are to live in this generation. To have a clock, to have a reminder, like all my day, or like all my activities have reminders, right? The reminder to do this, the reminder to say story about suicidals, right? Unless I would set that like reminder to myself, would never remember. Who can keep track of time? Know what to start on time. So that's reminders and unbelievable. Clock, watches. In olden times, only very very rich people would have watch, like pocket watch. That's it, right? And in the house, the clock, the wall clock would something very precious would pass from generation to generation. So let's see, the one that makes noise. So from the beginning, once the time for Mincha has arrived, it is prohibited to recite prohibited before reciting the prayer to begin any activity that may extend until the time Mincha prayer passes. So meaning, in order not to miss Mincha, I also just say you're not allowed to do anything. So you pray first and then do other things. But today, as he finished, just so we have the big picture. If you have Mincha scheduled, 7:35. I'm just any number, random number. So even though you can have a meal before that, there is no problem. Why? Because you're constantly watching time, and you're going to get there on time. There is no problem. You're not going to miss Mincha. So it's not like you're not allowed to eat before, as we said before, Shachris. No, it's not like you say. Do not start eating or do other activities because they were afraid that you might get to miss Mincha. That's it. That's the only reason. Okay. So now again, it is forbidden for one to begin eating even a small meal. Commentary. Even a Shabbos or Yom Tov meal is considered only a small meal. A large meal is described below. Even a Shabbos and Yom Tov meal considered only a small meal, right? So small meal. So large meal is like a wedding or circumcision. Okay. So it is forbidden for one to begin even a small meal Mil means with a bread, right? From close to the time of Minchah, Ketana, until he has recited Minchah prayer. Okay, so until you pray, don't start eating, so people get dizzy, people get sleepy, and guess what? They're not going to attend the Minchah. That's the logic. The term close to means half an hour before, right? As with all other mitzvahs, if you notice, the formula is the same. Half an hour, like it's half an hour before, you have to be on alert that something is going to happen, right? So you have to be on alert to go to the shul or start praying if you're praying by yourself. If he does not eat proper meal, but rather eats a drink in a formal manner as a snack, fruit or a cooked dish, even if it contains one of the grains, some authorities permit this to be eaten during the time, right? So if it's like snack, person came from work, very tired, so right, they need some energy boost. Yes, so they can drink, eat like some small amount, even as he said, mizoines. There is no problem. However, one should be stringent in this regard as well. So let's see commentary. According to Mishnah Berurah 2:32, 34, and 35, one should eat as much fruit as he desires. One may eat as much as fruit as he desires, but food containing one of the 5 grains may be eaten only occasionally as a snack, not as a meal. As we explained before, right? If you eat a lot of cake, so this cake is considered to be meal. So you need to say Birchas Hamazon because that's a quantity that you made. Ate, right? One should not drink more than volume of egg, volume 2/3 of revi'is, of intoxicating beverages. 2/3. So a revi'is is according to some opinion from 3.2 to 5.1 ounces. So it's not a lot, but if the strong alcoholic beverage, yes. The wine maybe it's okay, but others like you should not eat, you should not drink as much, since it could prevent him from praying. However, other drinks may be consumed even in large amounts. Right? One may eat as much as egg-sized portion of bread in a casual manner. So if it's only like a small piece of bread, of course you will need to say Birchas Hamazon after it, but it's a different story. Intoxicating beverage, so then the problem is on Purim. So some people think that they celebrate the Purim the best way possible, and they drink a little to excess. And guess what? They say, no, I'm going to pray Minchah later on. Yeah, you're going to pray Minchah. Maybe, if you're not going to fall asleep, and if you're going to be sober by that time. That's the issue. So some people actually transgress and they pray Minchah while drunk. That's a big issue. Okay. And it's absolutely forbidden. Likewise, it is forbidden to enter a bathhouse or bathe or take a haircut close to the time of the Minchah Kitana. So Minchah Kitana, we said 9.5 hours into the day. So all of these things that might take time. Bathhouse, maybe it's a line, I don't know. Maybe the water is not hot, so you ask to make it hotter, takes time, this and that, and you thought that it's going to take you exactly 15 minutes, and it took you 73 minutes. Guess what? Right, so it's close to the mincha, don't do these things. With regard to large meal double calls, such a wedding circumcision, meaning there is a lot of food. On Shabbos, it's not so much food. It is a lot of food, but it's very limited. But on a wedding, person goes to the wedding and he trying to eat as much as he could, or she, right? Then people have these huge stomachs because they already gave a gift. So I gave so much money in gift. Now I'm going to eat only carrots or something. No, I'm going to eat all of the meat. I'm going to to taste everything, right? Second close occasion. Okay. So it is forbidden to begin, right? So again, with regard to large meal, such a wedding, circumcision feast, or similar occasion, it is forbidden to begin even close to the Minchah Gedola, right? The Minchah Gedola means the noon, right? And then pray before the meal, right? So it's proper. Right? They should wait until the Minchah Gedola, meaning like 6.5 hours after the start of the day, do pray mincha, and then eat. There is no problem. Or usually circumcision, usually not always. Circumcision meals like in the morning after shacharis they do prayer. They do circumcision, do the meal. But some people, I mean, it's not necessary. Like they can do later on. There is no problem. But if you're going to have all these people, so make sure that people are not going to transgress because of you, right? We have to organize the minyan, right? To let them pray and then do all other things. So continue 1 second. Continue. So now in a place where they call the congregation to synagogue to pray. As we said, there were no watches, no clocks. So there was like they call a secton, right? What is it? Shamash person, right? Helper in a shul, and one of his job was, of course, clean the shul, bring water. But another job was to notify everybody that it's time to pray. So Muslims, how do they announce through this tower, right? Right. So everybody would know. But in our days, like non-Jews would not allow anything like that, right? So a person would go like like through the streets and yell mincha, and they would like knock on the window, right? So people would know. That's the same as shacharis, I think. He would go, right? Right. So if the person lives in this kind of place, when they announce there's somebody go around and ask people to come to pray, right? And here it's very he accustomed to go pray to the synagogue for the previous congregation, meaning that even if he's going to eat small meal, doesn't matter. He's still going to go, right? That person may begin a small meal close to the time of Mincha Ketana, right? There is no problem whatsoever, right? Why? Because he's going to pray Mincha, come home, I don't know, 20 minutes later, that's it. Say blessing or continue eating. And even after this time has arrived, provided immediately upon being called to the synagogue, he interrupts his activities and go to pray, right? So even if he started, but we rely on that person who always goes to announce the prayer, and this person is very organized, and he's going to go stop eating. So there is no problem. He can start eating when he has time. However, it's forbidden to begin large meal close to the time of Mincha Ketana, right? As we said before, I'm not sure why we keep repeating. Even in a place where they call congregation a synagogue to pray. Additionally, one should be stringent to avoid. So, because it's a big feast and most likely there will be alcohol, I'm just adding from myself. So it's not a good idea. So, and plus, if you bal simcha, if you're in charge of this, if your celebration, and now people is going to transgress because of you, so it's not a good idea, to say the least. Additionally, one should be stringent to avoid beginning large meal even close to the time of Mincha Gedola. Okay, but if they do, as we say, shacharis in the morning, and they have in the morning, I don't know, maybe 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11, well, let's say, and then it continues into after the mincha time, there is no problem. So because you started in allowed time, so you can continue. Okay, so we can stop here, very close to the end.